Hi, everybody. Welcome to day two of MMFM. I hope you've done a lot of business and everything is cool and great. Um, I'd like to thank the speakers today. We became very good friends, Patricia, Motilla, and I. And this year, when I went to Madrid, we recruited Gustavo, one of the most prolific producers in Spain and in Madrid. So I hope that you enjoy this segment and continue having a wonderful conference. Thank you.
Topics will include everything from top studio facilities, locations, competitive tax incentives. That's going to be a huge part of the conversation. International co-production opportunities, producing, and more in the motherland, at least mine, España, which we're very, very happy to have these two amazing speakers with us today that are going to chat a little bit more. Patricia Motilla, welcome back, Patricia. So she's the head of media, culture, and sports at Andersen in Madrid, which is one of the top law firms that deals with a lot of the tax incentive structures. And really, Patricia is more than that. She's really a change agent in Spain that's leading the way to really creating probably definitely one of the top production hubs in all of Europe. So welcome, Patricia. And then, of course, we have Gustavo Ferrada, who spoke yesterday amazingly well on our producers forum. So welcome back, Gustavo. And Gustavo is with Mediacrest, which is one of the top production companies in Spain. We had a good chance to meet him in Madrid, thanks, of course, to Patricia. So we already see how connections are working globally. And we brought all of this talent to South Beach, so you guys get to hear it firsthand. So I'm going to set up a presentation for Patricia, and then she will take the microphone.
I wanted to thank you and congratulate Patricia for the amazing work they're doing on building a bridge between Europe and Miami. And thank you very much, Patricia, for being my friend now. I prepared a presentation because what I'm going to explain is a bit complicated. So please feel free to interrupt me. I don't mind, because the most important thing for you today is to take 3 ideas, okay? That's the important thing. And if you think that this idea can match with any of your projects, we will have a meeting, a one-to-one meeting, okay? So, if you are a foreign producer from the Spanish point of view, you may come to Spain under 2 possibilities. Or you come by your own, that is that the show is going to be an American nationality. That means that the IP is yours, and you're going to finance the total show, and the cost of production is going to finance by the American people. That is that you are under a tax benefit. If you want a partner, a co-producer, okay, that means that the show will have 2 nationalities, the Spanish nationality and the US nationality. And this difference is really important. You can come to Spain by your own, and the only thing you know is to have a line service company. And the other possibility is to have a partner. Okay, that is very important. What is the difference? The IP. If the IP is yours, you are under international production. If you share the IP, you will be under a co-production with 2 nationalities. And the law to be applied to the Spanish part and to the US part is different. Okay. So, let's see first of all the international production. Spain is very complicated. I mean, we have, where is Adrian? We have the he's not here. Yeah, we were discussing yesterday. I think we have one of the best tax incentives in the world, but it's complicated. You have different territories. You have the north of Spain, you have the Basque territory plus Navarra. You may have the mainland territory and the Canary Island. And we have a new one that is Valencia territory. And it's something totally new from this year. Why? Because we are talking that we are having tax incentive. But in Valencia, we have tax incentive plus a direct aid. This direct aid, that is a kind of subsidiary, if your show it has a budget of more than 4 million euros and you shoot in this territory 2 million euros, you may obtain 1.5 plus the tax incentive. Why? Because in this moment they reopen in Valencia the big studios of La Ciudad de la Luz. Yes. And they want to motivate the investment in this territory. Okay, so let's see how does it work. Another very important thing is, depending the territory where you shoot, you will have a percentage of deduction, but also a way of recouping your investment. If you are under the mainland territory of the Canary Island, you will apply for a cashback. That means that the tax authority will give you the money back. We will see how. Directly from the tax authority. If you shoot under the umbrella of the vast territory, the law is different, and you will need private investors. Okay? And you may have to pay them a 20% of interest, and you will need a broker to look for them. So you may change your mind depending on the territory where you are. And if you decided to go to shoot to Spain, the first thing you have to do is to do figures. I mean, and to check the requirement from a legal and regulatory point of view that you need. And why regulatory point of view? Because Spain is Europe, and Europe is under the umbrella of Brussels and under the umbrella of the directive. So you cannot come to Europe and to shoot what you want. You need to follow some rules that are established by Brussels. If you don't follow them, you may not obtain the tax incentive in Spain, but because it's the directive. That is quite complicated when you come from state, because you have much freedom that we have. Okay, if you do not understand anything, please interrupt me, because it's very important.
Patricia, I'm sorry. Can you say the name of that overall criteria to shoot in Europe?
The name? Yeah. Is a directive that is the regulatory law that establishes some requirements you have to follow when you are under an international co-production, and you have different caps and limits in order to apply the tax credit. So I'm going to explain each of the requirements.
El nombre de la directiva.
Yes, que no, es comunicación cine. The directive is called
Cine communication.
Yes,
right?
cinema communication, but the rules, es que no hay una directiva exacta de cine. You may find this requirement in la comunicación cine.
Okay.
Okay. So, Canary Island, the percentage to be applied are the 54% on the first million euros invested there, and the 45% in the excess deduction tax base, with a cap of 36 million euros. But if you are shooting a series, this percentage will be applied episode by episode. So that means that increase your cash back. In the mainland territory, the requirement to be applied, the percentage are the 30% in the first million euros, the 25% in the exceeding amount, with a cap of 20 million euros for a show, for a movie, and 10 million euros for the series. Other requirements. If you decide, if you are there, if you are looking for the cashback, is or because you are coming alone, just by your own, without any Spanish co-producer, or because you are with a Spanish co-producer, but you are under the percentage, American percentage, because the Spanish American will take another way. So, the first thing you need is, you cannot come and shoot by your own. You need a line service that must be tax resident in the territory where you're shooting. If you are shooting in the Canary Island, in the Canary Island. If you're shooting in the mainland territory, in the mainland territory, and then you shoot in the vast territory, it's different, the law, but you need a line service set up there. Okay? Any question there?
When you say line service,
Yeah, it's a service production. It's a
like a production house or
Yeah.
production.
That can be.
Performs
yeah.
services, production services to your company. It's a Spanish company that will not own IP. They will only be providing services, production services.
But this provider can be a producer, but in your show, he will act as a producer company, and you will sign with them a PSA. If you are
a line producer with a company.
and yeah, okay.
I was just curious for the co-production part of it. What requirements are there if you do a co-production with Spain, aside from maybe a Spanish co-producer? Do you need actors, crew, like what are
Yeah,
the
I'm going to talk about that.
Okay.
But anyway, if you are under Euro, okay, the international co-production must be accepted by the government of Spain, the Ministry of Culture. That means that depending the percentage you have, you will need cast in the same proportion, not the crew, the cast in the same proportion that your percentage is, okay? So if you have 50-50, for example, you will need 50% of the cast. You will need the director should be Spanish, because if you do not obtain the nationality, the Spanish nationality for the Spanish percentage, you will not be able to apply the Spanish tax credit. You will apply the American, I mean the foreign, but not the other one.
So for the co-production, the director must be Spanish.
Spanish.
What?
Most of the time. No.
She's going for the, but it depends on the share. I mean, it depends on what the co-production is going to be.
Okay.
If it's, let's say, 75% American, 25% Spanish, then you don't need the director to be Spanish. Spanish meaning European.
Right.
It can be from Hungary.
Yeah.
And that
European,
from
that's
a guy from Poland, from Germany, a lady from from Finland.
I'm kind of curious. How about if you have Spanish ancestry?
Is it Spanish and?
Ancestry, like your grandparents, great-grandparents are from.
Then you want to go to the embassy and get your Spanish passport, or your European passport.
No,
Okay,
you need to be tax resident in Europe, okay. And in order to be, I mean, it's not the first time I have this question, and some people become tax resident. So to become tax resident, you have to live in Europe for 1 year, and you become just tax resident. It's not the nationality, but the residence where you live, okay, for 1 year.
anywhere in Europe, not only in Spain. Okay. But this is just, this is going to be a harsh one. So, I mean, this is going to be a long
presentation
with a lot of figures and so on. We made this movie in Argentina, this animated movie. We were 60% Spanish, 40% Argentinian. All the work was done in Argentina, so I needed people. We got all these Italian, Spanish, Polish, German. I mean, we had all these Argentinians with ancestors from all these territories. I mean, we got some 20 passports for them from Poland, Germany, Argentina, so they could qualify, and they did qualify.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that works.
Okay.
It takes time,
Right.
but it works.
Yes.
Italian,
The thing is, if you have an international co-production, what we do is first of all to study from the legal point of view, and we try to match with the requirement of the law. But afterwards, what we do is do a presentation to the Ministry of Culture of the show, and we start to negotiate with them, because what you will need is the authorization from the Spanish Ministry of Culture. With the American part is going to be very easy, just to go before the notary and to sign, that's all. So we start to negotiate with them. But in the beginning, the percentage, I mean, the first step is the percentage of the creative parts should be equal to the percentage of the share of the IP. Negotiation, a lot.
I'm not sure if you just said you were going to speak about it later, but
Yes.
so earlier you had said if you want to go with a Spanish co-producer, that the IP has to be shared. And so I was just wondering about that, because if I have a project and it's my IP, how does it become shared IP?
Because you sell it. I mean, you have
You co-produce it.
you co-produce it.
You bring the IP into the co-production, and since we're gonna be producing the film together, the movie or whatever the series becomes a property of both of us. It's not like if we're gonna be building a house, you have the place, but we're building it together, so it belongs to both of us. So we sign a contract, they do all that work. And through the you bring the IP, but we share the production. So the final work belongs to both of us, according to our share. So it's very important. I'm sorry, but it's very important to agree on that share, because if you're gonna be the majority co-producer, then things are easier, because you may not need a European producer, you may need a European composer, for instance, that works, a writer. So if it's your IP, but we work together on the script, and we bring in European co-producers, that will help with the points, but that you know all these checks you have to have. That will help with the checking, and they will do all the checking for you. So they will tell you, okay, if we have if we have 3 scriptwriters, 2 from Europe, that's 2/3, and you have the composer, then you don't need the director. All that kind of things you have to trade a little bit.
Yeah. But what is very important to understand when you decide to come to Spain is you do not need the co-producer. You can come by your own as a foreign production, and you will have more or less the same tax incentive. We are talking about tax incentive. Of course, if you have a co-production, there's a lot of things that you will obtain from him. If you decide, no, I want my partner there, I want him to put money, I want him to help me to produce, so you will share the IP. You sell it, you start to negotiate, and you come as an international co-production. In this moment, you need to have for the Spanish percentage, the nationality given by the authorities.
Can I give the specific example to ask a question?
I think that, yeah, we finish here.
So we have an animated feature. We have an offer of an international co-production in South Korea,
Okay.
and they want to have IP. But I think what I'm hearing here is we could bring the same project to Spain,
Yeah.
and negotiate that IP.
Yeah.
I'm very scared of the idea.
Yeah. But just one thing, you're talking about animation.
Yeah.
The other is totally different. We should have a one-to-one meeting, because in Spain, in the Canary Island, there is a kind of, not exactly, a kind of tax haven that apply very, very well for animation, because you will pay just the 4% of the company income tax or all the benefits if you go there. But you have to stay there at least 3 years, preparing everything. So when we are talking about animation, it's different. It's much easier to obtain the tax benefit that on a movie. Yes. Okay? Yes. So we can have a one-to-one later if you want, just to explain. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rahe. I have a quick question about incentives being offered to European. Can you hear me?
So.
So I have a question about how incentives being offered to European. I'm a dual British national. And as you know, Britain, yeah. So how would I work around?
Well, that is a very good question, because the law had changed because of the Brexit. Okay, so I'm going to talk later, but when you are under euro, you have a cap of tax incentive or state aid that is the 50% of the cost. Okay, so if you are British, you will be considered as if you are American. So that means that you may apply in the same show. You may apply, for example, the tax incentive, the Spanish tax incentive for the 50%, and then apply the UK benefit in the 25%. So you will obtain the 50% Spanish and the 25 UK. And I'm going to explain later, but if you combine, for example, Spain with LATAM, with UK, with any of the state tax benefit, they will overlap. If you just stay shooting in Europe, the cap is the 50% of the cost of the production. Okay? So it's very, very interesting to combine the different different tax incentive. And that's why I think that the future is the international co-production. But let's see. Saber que se me ha ido esto. Okay, so we were in the requirements. So we said you need a company service. You need a cost, the total cost, the budget must be at least 2 million euros. The base, when you are under an international co-production, the taxable base is the 80% of the total production cost. Okay, no more. I mean, the 80%. The total heads cannot exceed the 50% of the cost, but the total European heads, you may overlap with other ones, with other countries, non-European.
Which is that it means both subsidies, direct grants, plus tax incentives. So when you add that all together, if in Europe you cannot go below 50%, unless you're a woman directing, unless you have a co-production with a Latin American territory, unless you're a new director, new meaning you've directed less than three movies. So all that.
Esos nacionales, las internacionales, solamente en País Vasco. Pero bueno, sigue así.
Okay. This is for co-production, sorry.
Yeah. For co-production.
I was following up on her question.
Co-production.
So it's only for co-production. Anyway, all these have ways, and you need someone like her to find the way right.
So, the minimum amount to be invested is 1 million euros. I mean, the total cost of the movie, the worldwide cost must be 2 million euros, and the amount to be invested in Spain, in any of the territories, 1 million euros, except for animation. You just need to invest 200,000 euros. Okay? And you get it. Eligible cost. What means eligible cost? The eligible cost will be the taxable base where you will apply the percentage. Creative staff only if they European. I mean, if you have American cast, it's not considered as eligible cost, except in vast territory. Okay? And all the other expenses from provided, normally all of them are eligible cost. And that's very important, you will need a cultural certificate text. It's quite easy to obtain it, but our recommendation in Andersen is always before starting and having the green light, let us know about the script and the location in order to be sure that you will obtain the cultural test. If not, we have to change some things in order to obtain it. Okay. Monetization. As I told you, we are under the Canary Island and the mainland territory, and you will have a cashback. When? Okay. If the last cost, thank you, is in the taxable year. Okay. Can you hear me? If you enter production here in the 2023, the company service will present the income tax on July 25. They will fulfill the documents, and they will demand for the cash back because the company that obtained the cash back is not the American producer, it's the Spanish service which is helping you with the PSA to produce in Spain. So they will demand the refund to recoup the cash, and the tax authority will give you the cash back around January or February. That means that if you finish it at the end of the 23, you will obtain your cash back in the 25. And take care about that, because if you have an expenses in the 24, you are pushing forward the cash back 1 year. What is very interesting is that in Spain, we have a special entity specialized in media that you may discount the cash back before shooting. That's very interesting. You have to pay it.
Patricia, tengo una pregunta aquí. Yeah, go ahead.
Question going a little earlier to the previous slide. You were mentioning creative staff for the eligible costs. I'm assuming that applies directly to above the line.
Above the line.
Correct, not below the line.
Yeah. The above the line, if they're not European tax resident, they will not consider as eligible costs, except in the vast territory that I'm going to explain now.
It's not an issue, except for some specific features that it needs, like you have to show it has to be some cultural interest, it has to come relate to history, to characters in literature, or you have to shoot in Spanish. It's like a couple of things you have to get, but it's pretty easy to find a way. It's not a tough one.
To find the way, that's it. That's the Okay. That's a summary of what I have explained in case you want to take a picture. You have the requirement there. Very easy and very quick example, just to make sure that you understand what I'm talking about, okay? Assuming that we will have a cost incur in Spain of 6 million euros, as is different the percentage in the mainland territory and the Canary Island, we have two examples, okay? The taxable base, I explained, is the 80% of the total cost. So the 80% will be 4.8 million euros. And depending if you are in the mainland territory or you are in the Canary Island, you will apply the different percentage. And the total tax rebate you will obtain when you are with a movie is 1.2 or 2.2. Is a great difference, okay, between the Canary Island and with the mainland territory. But do not forget that in the mainland territory, if you are in Valencia territory, that it is the east of Spain, you will obtain 1.2 plus 1.5. That's not bad. And it's much cheaper to shoot in Valencia than to shoot in the Canary Island. So you have to analyze all the opportunity that the territory gives to you. If you are under a series, you will obtain, the exercise is the same, but you do it chapter by chapter. So that means that you will obtain a little bit of amount. That's an exercise. Movies, the left, 1.2, 2.2. You will see that mainland territory is 1.4, 2.5. Why? Because we take the figures chapter by chapter. Well, that's ¿cómo se dice la joya de la corona?
The crown jewel.
The crown jewel. In this moment in Spain, vast territory. The vast territory is divided in 3 political territory. The blue one, that is Vizcaya, is the one that has the great opportunity in this moment. And you have the pink and the white, the Guipúzcoa and Álava, that we think that the law will change at the end of the year, because they have already asked for the authorization to Brussels, and I think we're going to get it. So, what the vast territory says is totally different, because they have a law totally different from the central government, okay? And what it says is, if you do not expend any cost in the vast territory, but you should, through a company set up there, you may obtain the 35% of tax credits. If you shoot between the 20 and the 35 of the total cost, you will obtain the 40%, the 35%, and the 50%, the 50%, and over the 50%, the 60%. But then we have to do some work as having international co-production, because we are over the limit of Europe. So, why is different here? Because in the case of the vast territory, you may shoot or with a service, or you may shoot with a producer or with a company. You do not have the limit of the 80%, and in order to benefit for this tax credit, you're not obliged to incur money there. And the above the line, even if they're not European, will apply as eligible cost. That means, for example, if you have a 10 million euros show and you invest the 50% in the vast territory, you will have the 50%. And if the other 50% you shoot them in UK, or you shoot them in LATAM, in any of the countries where you have a tax incentive, you may obtain the 50% in the total worldwide cost, okay, plus the 25% or the 40% of the amount you shooting in the territory where you are shooting. So in this moment, all the majors and Chromecast are looking for Vizcaya. Why? Because they trying to shoot in the different country, and that is a very good argument for you when you go to the Chromecast to explain them about this opportunity, because you are reducing the cost of the show of the Chromecast, and you will reduce the cost of the Chromecast if you are under an original, because we have already the experience that the Chromecast is not very sure about what, if investing or not. But when they know that we are able to reduce between, for example, Colombia or UK and Spain, in a 50 or 60% the cost of the show for them, the negotiations change. Do you know what I mean? So that in this moment is a great opportunity to analyze the world, the tax incentive in the world, and you may have your bases in the vast territory and to start to play. Okay. Any question there? Understood. That's the requirement of the requirements. The total tax credit must not exceed the 50% of the total cost, but it could increase. Is that what Gustavo was explaining? If you are under an international co-production, is a short film, first director, or original version in Escoras, that is quite difficult. Work with production cost under 1 million euros, all these requirements. You will need the cultural test and take care about that. The main difference is that you need private investors. You must to pay interest, you must to pay the broadcaster, the broker, and you need to find them. And the vast territory is a very rich territory, but it's not very big. So we have to reserve the money before the green light. That is important. That's another. If you want picture, that's for the vast territory. If you want to take a picture, it's really. Okay. And then you decided to go to Spain in an international co-production. So it's very easy.
Okay, you have a percentage that is going to be Spanish, a percentage that is going to be American. For the American percentage in due to Spain, you will apply what I have explained. And your co-producer, your partner, will apply the Spanish law. That is different. So, when you are doing the figures and you are doing the hypothetical and you're going with a Spanish co-producer, you must work together in order to know how much soft money you may obtain, okay? Because the Spanish co-production always, the Spanish part, and with the limit of the 50% of the total Spanish part, may obtain tax credit, but direct aids also. So we have to manage with all this possibility. And what I think is going to be the future is to combine Spain with other IPs, UK, if you are talking Miami, for example, UK and Spain and LATAM, because you may overlap all the tax incentive. Okay? That's the main ideas I wanted you to explain. Afterwards, it's very complicated. We go under the figures. But any other question?
Yeah. Patricia, did you say back to when you get your cash back, right? 23, in your example would be 25. But there is a possibility of getting some discounted cash before you shoot.
Yeah. With a bank, a Spanish bank. Not with a Spanish bank. There is a special Spanish bank that gives guarantees. He studies the show. We have an agreement with them. Right. We studied and we prepare the figures and a report for this kind of bank. We present absolutely everything, and you may obtain a guarantee. With this guarantee, you go to any Spanish bank and you have the discount.
Right. And the advantage to them is, say they give you 80% of what's expected.
Yeah, more or less is the 80%.
Yeah.
And it depending if you have already sell all your pre-sale of your show, you may obtain the 80% at the beginning of the shooting, or if not, the 50% before starting the shooting, in the middle of the shooting.
Right,
We have to
yeah,
negotiate with them.
And do you sacrifice anything then?
No, just interest.
Thank you.
Okay. Gustavo, I don't know if you want to talk about your experience with us working on doing all these kind of things.
Sounds like a good question. You're doing my job now, but I love it. Just chill here.
Sure. Actually, I mean, I've worked with Patricia in several
Sorry.
projects for now 12 years already. What she's talking about seems very complicated, because it is very complicated. There's so many things you have to take into account, because every single move, it produces a move here and there that changes everything, and you can find yourself in a very, very awkward position in 2 years' time. So you need to approach this on the very, very, very early stages of your production, because otherwise then it's very easy to decide on which way to go. It's very easy to bend it once you've taken the straight way, right? So what we've done, I've worked with her. I must say with all the law firms on the three different systems that work as a proper Spanish co-production, and also as I was the producer on the first original feature film by Amazon in Spain. So we went through the through the scheme, through the international scheme. It was we had to set up an SPV in Spain, a local production company that became the provider, the production service provider for Amazon in order to produce the film. And we went through the international scheme, which worked very well. They checked everything on us. So good thing about that one is that the American producer is going to be getting it's going to be reducing the cost of the production. If you're doing in mainland Spain, which is the case, in my case, you're going to be reducing it in the end around some 20%, 20%, because you have, it's only 80%, it's capped on the 80%, and then not all the cost is eligible, but you will get back from the Spanish government, from the Spanish administration, you will get back around 20%. If you're shooting in mainland territory, you will be getting around 40% of your actual cost if you're shooting in the Canary Islands, for instance. Problem with the Canary Island is the small territory. It's become very expensive because all the studios have been shooting there, Disney, Universal, whoever. And they've been shooting big movies. I know from Star Wars to Fast and the Furious. So they spend a lot of money there. So the crews are used to working with American crews, which is very good for you, but very expensive for us because our budgets are way lower than the budget that normally studios or American companies come to spend in Spain. So that's a very good way to go if you want to keep IP and if you have the and if you have the financing for the rest of the money. Then in order to do co-productions in Spain, in order for us to participate and go with European talent, meaning director, whatever, and us being a part of the co-production, the system it's a little more complicated for me, not for you, but it helps us a lot in reducing costs and also bringing in financing from broadcasters, local distributors, local SVODs. So you have to figure out what's the best way to do it once you have the project, when you know exactly how much you get from the international, whether you can use Spanish talent, Spanish crews, Spanish services, like post-production facilities, for instance. Post-production in Spain is quite good and way cheaper than in the rest of the world. VFX, music, sound design, mixing. I've done, well, you know how the big studios and the streamers look at you. Well, you're Latin, and so you know what I'm going to be talking about. They look at you as you were like third world country, someone who can't even read, So they come with that approach. There's no way you're gonna be delivering the quality that we need. And once they're there, to see what these guys are doing, with one of the producers in a movie called Close, an animated movie in Netflix. It's a big one. It was a big, very, very important movie for Netflix. We had all these people there, all the crews coming and going through every single technical detail of we did all the sound there, and they were so amazed by the way it worked that the guy that is, well, they offered him the job not to come to LA, so he could work only for Netflix. But he said no because Spain is a good place to live. But they were offering him way more money. But so what I'm trying to say is that post-production facilities are good, VFX are good, so you don't really need to jeopardize the quality or you need to bring in you need to get rid of some of the talent you have, some of the cast you have, just because we have to be in co-production, we have to find ways to do that. But we can do all the production services that can work in a co-production. So once you balance that, it's very easy to go and prepare all the different scenarios. I mean, we did a movie. It was Spanish 100% production. And I remember by the end of the movie, we were working together on potential tax incentive scenarios for the movie. We ended up working with the 25th potential scenario, meaning that this is something that keeps changing all the time, that you find ways to maximize that kind of things. They do it very well. There's this girl, Elena.
We do it always very well.
Elena and her team.
No, but we have, it's so,
like God to me. I mean, she speaks words that I can't understand, but mean money.
we are very specialized in media. We are 30 people working just in media, and we have also a European team and a LATAM team. So that means that any country you want to shoot, we can help you. And that is very interesting because we are focused on maximize the different tax incentive in the different countries you combine in your shooting.
Now that's a good point, because before I turn to the questions, if let's say you are an international co-production, you have a story that's organically set half in Miami, say half in Madrid. Okay, so I don't know, we could use food as an example. Maybe you have a Cuban chef that has a cafeteria here, meets a beautiful Spanish tourist and fall in love, and now he wants to open the Cuban cafe in Madrid. Okay, so that's the second half of the story. Miami is offering a smaller incentive, but they are offering something to shoot the first portion of the film there. How would you work together as a producer and a lawyer to make that deal work in an ideal scenario?
Yeah, but we start preparing different scenarios from the legal point of view, and then the production and the creative part works with us. No? Okay, so the first thing is that we know in Europe we have a cap. The cap is the 50%. Once we started to prepare the scenario and we are in this 50%, if we want to increase the soft money, we know that we need to shoot in another country, not European country.
Okay.
So in this moment, the creative part will say the creative and also if there is a gap or not.
Right.
Depending, because sometimes Gustavo, a lot of times say to me, I say, Gustavo, if we move there, we can obtain a bit more of money. No matter, I'm not going to complicate anymore the structure because I have the money, I have the show. Do not complicate it. Sometimes you say
that because that would change stories. They would change. I mean, you're selling a story to someone. Someone's buying the distributors. You're selling something. You can maximize money, but you may jeopardize your sale. So you have to balance. You have to find. You have to. Well, this is a job, right?
Yeah.
You have to look. So they will push for the different options. And us as producer have to decide what story we're telling, what story we're selling, what's our, what commitment with the talent we're working with. So that you have to balance with that. But they will give you the different options in order to try and get the best possible way to do things, without putting in danger.
And it depends on the financing you already got. Because, for example, in this moment we have a movie that is strange because it wanted to start as a Spanish movie because it's a foreign producer that has a company in Barcelona. And when we saw the movie, I said, it's impossible. We're not going to obtain the Spanish certificate as a Spanish movie. So he has a company abroad. So we are reconverting the movie in a foreign movie, and we are preparing all the structure and the pre-sales and absolutely everything. And the IP is not going to be any more Spanish, but it's going to be from Holland. So the money is coming from Holland, and we will incorporate everything as a foreign production. So it depends of the show. Our work is to establish the different structure from the IP, the regulatory, the taxation, and the financing. Depending if you have a gap, if you don't have a gap, if you have a Chromecast, because when you know that the Chromecast that is obliged, if they want to, how you say emitir, if they
Broadcast or
no, yeah,
carrying
broadcast.
the service?
No, the current, no, if they made the show in Europe, they have the obligation to invest the 5% of their incomes in European shows. So when you are using most of the time the Chromecast, demand as a certificate that the show will be European because they have the obligation of investing the 5% of the incomes. So we have to take that into account if you want to pre-sale or sell your movie to the Chromecast.
The Comcast mean the OTTs.
I mean the OTTs. I mean the Netflix, HBO, the streamers.
Here, I think the common term is the streamers.
Yeah, if they're streaming in Europe, they compulsory mandatory. They have to invest the 5% of the.
I think we're talking today, this is
Yeah, a lot
about
of things,
Spanish tax incentives 101. She's talking Spanish tax incentives 501.
It's a graduate class.
We've
all graduated.
You don't need to write it down. We'll explain later.
We have a couple questions and then we'll wrap it up over here.
Hi there.
Project going to Argentina. So do you all facilitate from Miami to Latin America and the Caribbean? Or is it just from Miami to Spain and Europe?
Oh, can you repeat the question because I haven't heard it?
I have a project
Yeah.
in South America
Yeah.
that I'm working in
Argentina.
with a production company in Miami, which is my company, and a company in Argentina. Do you all facilitate that? I know Patricia just said that she does Latin as well. And I'm asking, do you do Caribbean? Do you do Latin America?
But if you want to apply any of the Spanish tax incentive compulsory, you must set up a new co in Spain. So if you are or co-produce with a Spanish co-producer, but you must go through Spain. If you want to do by your own, you should use, I will recommend you to use the vast territories, not shooting anything in Spain, depending if you're going to incur cost there or not. If you're not, or it's not a very big amount, it's less than the 20%, I will say, well, if you want to apply for the VASC incentive, set up a company there that will be yours. I mean, the main company will be American. You will have a subsidiary in the vast territory, and through the vast territory, you will do absolutely everything. But take into account that all the costs you will incur you say in Colombia, what you say? Argentina. In Argentina, must be financed and controlled by Spain. And the PSA and anything you will obtain you will do in Argentina must be through Spain, through the VASC company, in order to have as taxable base the total cost of your show. That is the big opportunity in this moment in Spain. And take care about the investors, because as all the majors, the Netflix, HBO are looking for the vast territory. So I would suggest you to reserve the money.
Good point. Rick?
I have a quick question. Is it easier, the whole process, if you have, like, let's say a broadcaster, let's say, for example, you have a project and you have Cartoon Networks who's interested, and then we're looking for the finance for that, the 70 or the 80% that would probably be left to find somebody. Is that something we can go to you guys and you help us get the rest of the money and maybe even tap Colombia when it has incentives? And is that something you handle, Patricia, or?
I mean, I'm going to talk as a lawyer, I will talk as a producer. As a lawyer, what I can help you is to prepare the structure in order to obtain in any of the territories the money that the law establishes I can give you as a lawyer. If you want to go as a co-production or production or with any other issues, that's Gustavo.
Well, Not me, any producing it.
Any producer.
Yeah, I think the answer to the question is if you have is this animation? Is this
Animation is Canary Island.
yeah,
It's no doubt.
Yeah, but that was what I was going to say. If it's animation, and you have Cartoon Networks, and you have your own facility here, your studio providing services for whatever, 20%, 25%. If you have Colombia with that, and you need the extra 50%, 60%, 40% of the production of the, so your best shot, from my point of view right now, is to go to the Canary Island. You have there like 4 or 5 very good studios that have been working this kind of schemes for over 10 years already, with producers all over the world, that have worked on 2D, 3D, VFX, whatever. And you get a deal with them. You co-produce. They'll do all the work with her. They'll come up with the production, with the money, and with the services, and you can work together. You decide who's. I mean, you.
Setting up your own shop.
Yeah. But in any case,
Well, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't. You can use any. I mean, you can. It's 2 options. You can go through a service agreement with one of them, and you get, and then you keep IP and keep everything, and you get the tax rebate.
yeah, but if you
But for animation, normally the studio there will if they want to participate in your movie, they will be asking for co-production, because they'll get more and better.
yeah, but I will say
Cooperative series,
what we are doing, okay, with the Canadian and all companies, they setting up companies there. Even if you are American, for animation, you have 2 different kinds of tax benefit in the Canary Island. You have the tax rebate, as I explained here, that you got it. But if you establish there a new co, all the sale, pre-sales, and absolutely all the incomes will be taxed at the 4%. And if 4% is peanuts, so that means that when you prepare your structure, what the companies are doing, come with a new co, incorporate a new co in the special area that is called Zona ZEC. I think I talked to you about that already. And if you want to co-produce, but set up your company there. If you are doing animation, why? Because you will always use this company in order to benefit the 4%. That is really very important. And when we prepare the structure with how to refund the money to state, I mean, we have the opportunity of putting other companies in the middle. And if not, you will have your money. I mean, we have to talk about this kind of structure, but all the big studios are coming to the Canary Island because of that. We are already plenty of American and Canadian people, Italian people. Actually, I have incorporated some of them, and we are working for there because the 4%, they are any country taxing the incomes at the 4%.
Great. Well, guys, I think that will do it for this session. I want to thank our amazing Spanish panelists today, Patricia, Gustavo. If anybody wants to hear my Cuban chef pitch later, I'll be available. Just let me know. You can set up a one-to-one with Joe Garcia. That said, we are at break right now for an hour, and then we'll be back